Welcome to Politics Nation. I'm Al Sharpton. Tonight's lead, Mitt Romney found himself a quiet room where he could say what he really thinks about government, fairness, and mothers. Wilt held an exclusive fundraiser last night in Palm Beach, Florida. No reporters were allowed, but the speakers could be clearly heard out on the public street. So Romney's speech is now public too. For example, his candid response to comments about stay-at-home mothers made by a liberal TV pundit, he called that comment a, quote, gift to his campaign. And his wife Ann said, quote, "It was an early birthday present for someone to be critical of me being a mother, and that was really a defining moment, and I loved it." A gift, a birthday present. That doesn't quite match the outrage we saw last week. And our colleagues at Up with Chris Hayes uncovered video of Romney from a few years ago showing he has a very different view of non-working moms if they're poor.
Just 3 months before, he said stay-at-home moms are working moms. All moms are working moms. He said he wants to make stay-at-home parents of kids as young as 2, mom or dad, quote, go to work so they can have, quote, have the dignity of work.
I said, for instance, that even if you have a child 2 years of age, you need to go to work. And people said, well, that's heartless. And I said, no, I'm willing to spend more giving daycare to allow those parents to go back to work. It'll cost the state more providing that daycare, but I want the individuals to have the dignity of work.
So Romney thinks stay-at-home moms are working moms unless they're on welfare, in which case they don't have dignity. That's curious logic. He writes something similar in his book saying, quote, welfare without work erodes the spirit and the sense of self-worth of the recipient, and it conditions the children of non-working parents to be indolent and unproductive in life. Indolent. Kids raised on welfare are doomed to be lazy. Meanwhile, today Romney launched back into his bogus claims about how hard women have been hit by the recession.
92%, 93% of the jobs lost have been lost by women during this president's term.
This claim's been debunked repeatedly for twisting the numbers, but Willard's never been one to let facts get in the way of some good spin. Joining me now is Congresswoman Karen Bass, Democrat from California. Also with me is Chris Hayes, host of Up with Chris Hayes. Thank you both for your time tonight.
Thank you for having us on.
Congresswoman Bass, let me start with you. What's your response to Romney's double standard on non-working moms?
Well, first of all, I think it's very interesting him talking about it being a gift. It's almost as though the continued exploitation of women is a gift to him. I think it's just another example where Romney has no clue how average people live, how working people live, and especially how poor families have to survive in tough economic times. And so people who are on and off public assistance tend to be because they have lost a job, or because they lost their health care, or because one of their children was sick. That's why they wind up being without employment. It's as though people who have tough economic times don't know how to work. The fact of the matter is, people who have tough economic times work harder than most other folks that he is talking about.
Now, Chris, I think this tape that you uncovered, I think really takes this argument somewhere serious and really flips this in terms of where some of the Romney supporters have said. Because they were outraged that the inference, they claimed the inference, was that women at home working are not working.
Right.
But Romney's position is that women at home not working that are on welfare is something to be dismissed and implied that they're lazy.
Well, they lack the dignity of work, right? I mean, the point is that they always...
I mean, you can't have it both ways.
You can't have it both ways. Right. And the point is that, first of all, let's remember, this isn't some random cable pundit. This is Mitt Romney himself talking about this.
Right.
And this isn't him opining on an issue of the day. This is actual policy he's supported. In fact, this double standard we have in the way that we conceive of what counts as work, right? That double standard actually plays out at a policy level in terms of how do we treat women at the bottom of the economic scale and at the top. And what happened last week was everybody understood the context of the initial comment that set off this fake outrage. They just wanted to pretend they didn't understand.
No, but I don't even think it's that I think what is so profound about you finding this tape is it's not that he supported it, he advocated it. This is him saying it.
Right.
And Congresswoman Bass, this is not a pundit. This is not somebody not connected to Romney officially. This is not somebody not with the RNC or his campaign. This is him. And he's basically saying that if you are a working mom, I mean a non-working mom, but you have money, it's a hard thing to raise kids. It's a full-time job.
Exactly.
But if you're on welfare, it's not a hard thing and it's not a full-time job.
Exactly, and you must, whether you are working on a job or working at home, work should always be respected and valued. And as a working mother, I know how difficult that is. And so a job inside a home or outside a home is still work. And you can't say that it's only valid when you're wealthy. And it's interesting because some of the working women that he is referring to, people who have worked hard all throughout their life, and they might have hit a tough time. And so they might not have the two jobs, which is the job outside of the house and the job inside of the house, temporarily. But they should certainly not be disrespected, and that's what he did.
Now, Chris, Romney advisor Ed Gillespie tried to claim on Fox News Sunday that defunding Planned Parenthood isn't really defunding Planned Parenthood. Watch this.
Defunding from a federal budget perspective, Planned Parenthood is not the same thing.
But they've been giving money, and you've got the high.
It's not fair to say that not having federal funding for Planned Parenthood is defunding Planned Parenthood.
Well,
and in English,
from the perspective, clearly it is not the case that he could, as the president, just get rid of a private charity, right? I mean, he couldn't entirely defund it. What he could do was advocate to cut it off from federal dollars, which would have a significant budgetary impact for the organization. That's all he could. That is the totality of what is within his power, and he is advocating the maximum use of that power, right?
Well, what they're really doing is trying to back away from some of the anti-women positions.
Well, they hate that clip that keeps getting played where he says Planned Parenthood, comma, we're going to get rid of that. And the reason is Republicans thought that they could turn Planned Parenthood into the new Black Panthers.
Right.
They thought they could turn them into this scary boogeyman or boogie woman, right, that they could then run against. And what they forgot and what they have had to learn time and time again over the past year particularly is that people think fondly of Planned Parenthood because it plays a crucial role in delivering health services to women all over this country, right? And they cannot make it out into this terrifying monster that they're going to slay, and so now they have to walk away from it.
Well, Congresswoman Bass, he has a lot more he's going to have to try to spin his way out of, because part of Romney's attempt to deflect what he's stood for, he supports personhood, which would ban abortion and hormonal birth control. He wants to defund Planned Parenthood, as we just said, and he supports the Ryan budget, which slashes discretionary spending that women rely on. So he's got a lot to try to walk back from, and now, thanks to my friend and brother Chris Hayes, he's got to explain how he's really talking about a certain class of women work at home, apparently, because if we go by what is on this tape, he doesn't share the same feeling for women that may be raising 3, 5, 4 kids, whatever the number, at home. So he's got a lot of walking back to do, Congresswoman.
Well, exactly. But, I mean, he's consistent. You have to give that to him. Whether you are talking about attacking poor women, whether you're talking about he wants to get rid of HUD, Housing and Urban Development. He's talking about cutting back or getting rid of the Department of Education. The class attack, I think, is very consistent. It just happened to play out on women this week. But, again, to say that a poor woman at home is not working, but a wealthy woman who is home taking care of her kids, well, that is work. We value the work of the wealthy. We do not value the work of people who are low income.
And Chris, in this, and we had to embed there, as I said, at this fundraiser last night that could hear out in the street what he was saying. He said that he would, when he was questioned about HUD, that it may not be there anymore. He said other things. Right. And he also talked about needing to reach a broader audience in than Fox News. He said, and I'm quoting, he said his campaign had been well covered by Fox News, but that Fox was watched by, quote, true believers, and that he knew he had to reach out to a broader audience in order to win over independents and women voters that will decide the election in November. Does Roger Ailes know that only true believers are white, that women and independents don't write Fox? So that's just the home crowd. I've got to talk to the broad American people. I can't talk to Fox if I want to talk to women and independents.
And I know I speak for both of us, and I say each of us would be only too delighted to have the former governor.
I'd cancel all of my guests.
I'd cancel everything. We could do it for 2 full hours on a Saturday or Sunday. But I mean, that shows that's an obvious fact, right? But it shows that he and his campaign absolutely understand that they have dug themselves a hole. They absolutely have dug themselves a hole in running this primary. And the new CNN polling that's out today that shows a huge gender gap that's still there, that troubles them. They're not idiots. They understand that in order to win the election, they have to outperform John McCain among women and outperform among Latinos. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And they're looking at the polling right now coming out of this primary, and they understand they have an uphill battle among both those constituencies.
Well, I'm sure if either one of you had him on again, it would be an Etch-a-Sketch moment, because he would say whatever it was going to do to benefit a particular audience. We know this about Romney.
Mr. Romney, go on any night you want. I'll give you the whole hour. I'll only ask 3 questions. I want you to just be able to talk. I won't even call you Willie. Congresswoman Bass and Chris Hayes, thank you both for your time tonight.
Thank you, Rev.
Thanks for having us.